Okay, we're live. Good evening, everyone. We have with us your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki, and and we also have Kay or Tigbade. I'll let them introduce themselves later. But we just have we brought them together today to have like a father to son conversation where we want to. This is gonna be a series actually. Want to delve into the essence of manhood and other questions related to life as a man in the diaspora, especially for people that left Nigeria at a very young age and trying to make a life outside Nigeria. So first, I'll give you your friend Dr. Charles Apoki, and I'll let Kay introduce himself.
Am I introducing myself or you have already introduced me? Not
You,
so.
you don't need any introductions.
Okay. So I'll be next to introduce, right?
So our friend
Yeah.
from where is it? Bucharest? Not
Yeah.
so.
So my name is
Okay.
Apoki Otepade, and I'm fully based in Bucharest, Romania. I have the opportunity to have a discussion with Dr. Charles Apoki, but from um, paternal side, and I'm going to be like his son, and I will be asking important question that will develop myself and men out there too. So stay tuned and thank you very much for being with us today, sir.
Welcome.
Yes, sir. So the first question to open the segment or the conversation would be, as a average man in your youthful days, what should be your fundamentals, regardless of where you are, who you are, as an average man in the modern world, what should be your fundamentals?
Number one, you should know that as a man, a lot of responsibilities are going to rest on you. You are going to be a father, you are going to be a husband, you're going to be like a priest in the household, and you're going to be a role model and then an influencer. You're likely to, you can become a king, become an employer of labor. So the first thing is to develop yourself. Develop yourself. You need to acquire education, because he who knows and knows who he is and knows what to do and what society needs and knows how to actualize the needs of society will eventually lead. Number two, acquire skills. Skills, productive skills, and then acquire social skills, social intelligence, emotional intelligence, situational intelligence, financial intelligence. Acquire them quite early. If you take an average Igbo boy, he has a sense of money very early, business
Yeah,
entrepreneurial skills very early. He knows how to
true,
interact with society very early. He develops independence very early. So
true.
earlier, the Bible says, bear the yoke when you are young. So the earlier you start, the better. The next thing is to have a vision, a clear vision. It's from the age of 10, I knew I was going to be a medical doctor. At the age of 23, 24, I knew I was not going to practice medicine beyond 40. And at 40, I stopped. I knew I was not going to be a professor. I knew I was not going to be a specialist. So I chose to work in a general hospital. I resigned from the teaching hospital to a general hospital, and I knew I was going to go into general practice. So I started acquiring surgical skills very early. And so at the age of 29, when I had job options at 27, I chose where I could have surgical mentorship. So I worked in Royal Hospital, number 4, Bobo Road, and I acquired surgical skills, practiced there. And at 29, I opened my own practice. And as I was progressing, because I knew I was going to stop at 40, I started thinking of how to diversify. The next thing is to acquire discipline. Discipline. things like punctuality, integrity, and consistency, acquire them. I was men's fellowship leader for the Church of God Mission in Imo and Abia states when I was about 29, 30, 31. And I was leading people much older than I was then, far, far richer than I was. But because I had developed leadership skills early, I was house captain at FGC Warri. So I developed skills quite early, leadership skills. Then the next thing is to look for a mentor, somebody you admire, somebody you aspire to become like or be better than. A mentor will teach you number 1 methods. A mentor will teach you, will introduce you to men. A mentor will keep you in his memory. A mentor might bring money into your life. A mentor will create a mold for you to flow into. So these are the things you need as a young man. And then you must be very careful with women as a young man, because most young men eventually get distracted and ruined by women. That's why Joseph fled and left his coat behind. So, as I always say, don't let your erection give you direction. As I've
Very
always
true.
said,
Very true.
the woman must have to carry vision. I told my wife at 19, she was 19, I was 21. I said, I want to marry somebody I will grow up with. I'm going to be a medical doctor, so you will read nursing. She said she wanted to be a teacher. I said, no, you will do nursing. So I wrote the application. She took to the School of Nursing. So she was the matron of our hospital. She always worked with me until we now came to do ministry, and I opened schools, and she's now doing her area of interest. So you must ask yourself, this woman, what is she bringing into my life? What is it copulation alone? No, those things don't last long. That's why the wife of Isaac was selected by an interview that she did not properly understand. Say the woman that I will say, give me water to drink, and she will say, let me water your camels too, will be the wife of my master. And Rebecca fetched water for 10 camels. Each camel drinks 30 gallons of water times 4, that's 120 liters times 10, that's 1,200 liters for 10 camels. And so because Isaac had camels, they needed a wife that would love camels and be able to cater for camels. So you marry capacity. You intentionally marry. You intentionally date. You intentionally relate with people. That's why rich people send their children to expensive schools, so that when they fall in love, they don't fall far from wealth. They don't fall far from
the structure of the
position. You say what?
I said, so they don't fall out of the love of the structure of the family structure.
They don't fall out of it, because there is a principle now where it did, now it did. That is, it's always where it is, and they don't want to go to where it is not. So then you must have a long-term view of life. Long-term view, seeing as far as your eyes can see is not a distance. If not, the vision of Abraham was limited. So as far as your eyes can see, it's a conception. Start having a long-term vision. Today, when I tell my wife the experiences I'm having, she will say, this is what you had always told me when we were younger. So I'd always wanted to be a global citizen. I'd always wanted to have a global family, have grandchildren all over the world. Yeah, I'd always wanted to go to work anytime I wanted to work. I told myself I didn't want to be compelled to work when I don't want to work. So those are some of the. I had a lot of dreams, and I shared them with my wife, and they have come to be. So the desires of the righteous shall be granted. As a man thinks in his heart, so he is. jealously guard your heart, out of it spring the issues of life. As a man, so when think about these things, things that are honorable, pure, of good report. So then also see yourself as being responsible. Develop a sense of responsibility in the sense that when I was at government college, really, we were told we were going to be the leaders of tomorrow. So I even had the aspiration of becoming the president of Nigeria
Yeah.
until reality dawned on me. But leadership role and the desire to be of a man of influence and affluence has always been in my mind. And then you must work hard, develop the capacity to work hard towards that kind of those goals you are setting.
Wow. Very well said, sir. You gave a lot of answer that I would want to go into, and we have a little bit discussion based on the answer you give. But before I fall back, I would want to ask, you said at 19 you knew you wanted to be a medical doctor,
No,
right?
at primary four.
At primary four. But okay, at 19 you're already in the vision mode.
I was already telling the woman I wanted to marry. I
Yeah,
was already telling the girl I wanted to marry that I was going to be a medical doctor because I
okay.
was already my wife was 19, I was 21.
20, yeah, okay, 21. I
I was
wanted to
21.
ask,
I was already in medical school.
did your parents play a very big role in you making that decision, and how did they support you
They
making that?
played the major role. My father was working in the general hospital as a refuse collector and all kinds of menial jobs. And there was one doctor called Dr. Stevenson, a British man. And my
Okay.
father admired him. He was the one treating us as at that time from the slums. And he told me, you will be like Dr. Stevenson.
Hmm.
And I worked in that same hospital, made prescriptions from the same desk that Dr. Stevenson treated me from. So, and my father will always talk about Nnamdi Azikiwe, Okpara, and Mbadiwe in particular. He will talk about their big grammar, and he was not educated. So he said, when I told him one time why we were poor, he said it's because he didn't go to school, and the school he didn't go to, I should go. The way he couldn't take the name to, I should take it there, and I should speak the grammar he could not speak. So
Wow. So
that's
technically, your father was also your mentor, and the doctor, the place where your father worked, the doctor there also was your mentor.
I didn't have a close contact with Dr. Stevenson.
Oh.
It was, there's something called mirror neurons in the human brain and other animals that can mimic. Mirror neurons is you create, when you see an image, you see something you admire, something that stimulates you, you're able to replicate it. Then one other thing that happened was that I passed common entrance in primary 5 instead of primary 6, and I passed into a mission school. But my elder brother insisted that I must go to government college Ughelli because it was the school for the elite as at that time. So
Hmm.
they molded me into that
Yeah.
pathway to become one of them. And then I had a very strict mother who, even though was not educated, always supervised my academics and disciplined me when I wanted to go astray.
Okay. Why I asked this question, because the next question I want to ask is the difference between growing up with your biological parent or someone growing up with like an adopted parent or guardian or foster care. Do you think there will be like a big major difference with a kid that will grow up with his biological parent and the other kid that grew up maybe with foster care or guardian or or with family members or something like that?
It depends on a lot of factors. Number one, if you have a father that is a drunkard, a mother that is on drugs, a father that is a nuisance, a guardian that is more stable and that is more enterprising, that can discipline you, that will be a better model is better than a biological father. If you take Steve Jobs was put up for adoption, and he was adopted by Clara and Jacob Jobs. And the mother giving him out, Catherine, insisted that they should give him a good education. So the parents gave him the adopted parents, they lived in an environment that was close to a university that has computers just coming up then, and then that helps in shaping his life. Then there are other people, somebody like Aliko Dangote. His grandfather insisted that his father married the mother in his house, and that his daughter was not going to stay with the other women in the polygamous home. And then he named him Aliko Dangote, Aliko, which means Alexander, conqueror of humanity, and said he would transfer the craft of wealth that he has into his first grandson. And his grandfather, when he opened an account in First Bank in Kano, it is said that 10 camels carried the bags of coins to the bank. And then he insisted that Aliko Dangote would be mentored by Musa Amaka Dantata. So the mentorship by Al Hassan Dantata created the pathway for Dangote to be mentored by Musa Amaka Dantata, not Dangote's father. So it was from his maternal side that he was mentored. And all of them growing up in that compound, they didn't know who was each other's mother. And so he was introduced to commerce and wealth through mentorship from the maternal side. And then there are people who had good families that they grew up in, and the parents gave them tender care. Sometimes, if you take somebody like Cosmos Maduka, his father died early. He was mentored by his uncle. His uncles gave him a meager amount of money to start business. Sometimes the hardship you experience when you are not being taken care of by your parents, instead of reacting negatively to them, you can respond positively by insisting that no member of your generation will pass through that kind of suffering and pain. So it depends on the person, depends on the parents, and it depends on the mentor.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. And now you've answered for family, meaning it doesn't mean if the biological, so far like the parent are responsible or the guardians are responsible people, then you're on a good path. Visionary. So the next part is, okay, you know how you're structured. You're structured in the terms of...
Let me come in again. Sometimes when you have parents who dote over children, they want to pamper them, those children will eventually pepper the parents because you mentor them, pamper them into stupidity.
True. Yeah. So stepping out of the family boundary, it would be the society next. So how does the environment influence a man's dream and aspiration for the future?
There has been this debate about nature and nurture, that they took a set of twins and separated them. They did such experiments, kept them in different environments. The results were quite outstanding. The potentials were there, but the degree of expression of the potentials depended on the environment the person grew in. They could wear the same color of clothes, marry likely the same kind of women, but the environment they grew in determined the degree of expression. Let me explain it to you. If you were designed to be a sprinter, you can run very well, and you grow up in Igbo Elerin in Oyo State, and the hunting is what is prevalent there, Your potentials will enable you run and pursue an antelope and catch the antelope. But if you grow up in the United States, the potentials of sprinting will make you an Olympic champion. So if you were supposed to be a CIA agent because you have an instinct for or an FBI agent, you have an instinct for finding out issues and all that, and you grow up in Otokutu, where I come from, and you grow up with somebody who is a hunter, you'll be able to trace the footsteps of antelope and rabbits and know the hole that contains boa or python and be a very good hunter. While the person who grows up in the United States will end up as a very good FBI agent. So the environment matters.
Wow. That's very depressing to hear, because
that's why the rich people, a piece of land in Lekki, this Lekki we talk about in Lagos, there are other smaller communities where land is cheaper than Lekki Phase 1 or Lekki Phase 2. You see, the elite buy those properties more expensively because the children will interact with people of the same class, and then you find out that their value systems will be based on that class. And so rich people send their children to expensive schools, as I've said. They live in expensive neighborhood to be able to separate them from the influence of the poor. If you look at the colonial history of Nigeria, a lot of the people who are wealthy, a lot of the people who became prominent post-independence, their fathers worked with the Europeans. And so by going to if you look around Africa, around Nigeria, you will see that the church is situated between where black people lived and where white people lived. The police station is always close to where the white people lived. The hospital is close to where the white people lived. Then there will be a golf course, a big space between the white people's quarters and the black people's quarters. Because according to Lord Lugard in his book, The Dual Mandate, written in 1922, that when a mosquito bites somebody, it can only fly a distance of about 150 feet or 200 feet before falling down. So it was a malaria preventing mechanism, but at the same time, they didn't want the poor to infiltrate their area, but they kept God in between them and the poor people, kept the church in the middle. So it was only those who were going to the European quarters that had a taste of what the good life is and were able to aspire to go to King's College, Queen's College, Baptist Academy, DMGS Onitsha and all those, and then Government College, FGC Warrior and all that. So that's why elitism has a way of propagating itself. It has a way of propagating itself. Environment is very important. Like as I used to say, if you live near a madman that is singing Baby Kilo Day, Baby Kilo Day, and you listen for 21 days, after 21 days, when you are washing clothes, you'll be doing
synchronize,
so it's a sociological influence. So environment matters a great deal.
Wow. And when I asked you the first question, you said as a man, you should know your responsibility.
Yes.
I want to dig deeper in there. From the side I come from in Africa, West Africa, Nigeria, a man's responsibility is mainly based on the financial support the man can give out to the family and maybe mentorship also. But on this side of the world that I live, is also that, but it's also about like how much time you can spend with your kid, with your family, the responsibility as a man. You should take care of your family, but deep down from where I come from is just you don't have to be there. So far you can provide, like just take all the whole responsibility. The timing with your wife or your kid is not really a big factor. So I want you to, what do you think about that?
we must go back a little bit. Your generation did not experience what we experienced. Our fathers, even in the midst of providing for us, were with us. We went to farm with them. We went to farm with them. And so there was relationship, there was company, there was modeling in the farm. You paddled canoe with him. You went hunting with him. That was there. And then when we evolved a little bit further, because of taxation, that parents had to go, the money was only held by the colonial masters. We first did trade by barter, then we used cowries, then we used Manila. But when currency came up, I saw trade by barter. I saw Manila, I saw cowries. When currency came up with the head of the queen, tax collectors will come and my uncles will run into the bush. And so to get that money to pay the tax, you needed to go and work for government. That was when men started leaving families to live in the township and all that. But even in places like South Africa, Soweto, and all the other places where people worked in the mines, Kimberley, where people worked in the mines, the community owned a child and the community took care of a child. The community related with the child. The child imbibed values from the community. And we had practices like storytelling in the evening. This song, Go, 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 Go. Those are folk tales that parents told their children. Ufoma will know about Pege, Pege, and Pege. It's a story that my mother told me. I told Ufoma, wrote it into a book. I don't know whether I would tell his son. So we had times, we had festivals. So a community owned a child. A community molded a child. A community disciplined a child. But in the Western world, in Eastern Europe, there are still, if you go to Transylvania and many other places, there are still communal living in Eastern Europe. Among the Italians, even when they migrate, like the Jewish people, the Chinese people, the Arab people, when they migrate to Europe, they still live together. So you have Chinatown. They stayed together. As they stayed together, they groomed their children together, had their cultural practices, even the Jewish community. So when the World War now came and men went to war and women also were producing parachutes in the factories and all that, it was then the industrial era too. You find out that the families became more nuclear. So that's why the pressure to spend time alone with your wife and your children became very necessary in Europe. And therefore, you must prioritize your time. You must prioritize your time. Spend time at work, have time for the family, spend quality time with your family. The plague we are going to have is males who don't have father figures, females who don't have father figures. And when a female suffers from absent father syndrome is when a girl does not have a father figure. As she grows up, she will be looking for that father figure by dating older men and being promiscuous. It's called absent father syndrome. You can Google it.
Yeah, now we call it daddy issues for our own generation. Yeah, that's deeper than I thought. I would want to ask also, how do young men stay motivated and focused once they know their goal? I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer, I want to marry someone to grow with. How do you stay focused on that goal? Because there's a lot of distraction on the way. Peer pressure, how to handle peer pressure with your own decision, like a lot of setback in this system that we are, like this version of new world, post-industrial world that we live in. And by the way, we're also going to go to a new full technological world shortly. So the question would be, how do we stay motivated and focused on that goal?
You see, you must look at the failures around you and refuse not to be like them. You must decide not to be like them. Refuse is a negative, so decide not to be like them. You must make sure that you have models that you admire, that their principles are contrary to the distractions. So, like looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. Then have mentors who you respect, who can question you, query you, and then push you, that such that you follow them as they follow. Paul says, "Follow me as I follow Christ." So they will be following a model that they they want to attain, and in the process, you follow them. That's why the Igbos are the sixth richest tribe in the world and the richest tribe in Nigeria. It's because of the mentorship scheme that they have, the mentorship scheme that they have. And it has
Yeah,
produced more millionaires than all the universities in Nigeria combined together.
factual.
Yes.
There's been a study about that in the US, so that is
Yes.
very factual. And yeah, they call it the
And
Igbo
you will
apprenticeship
see,
method. So it's been studied
yes,
now, I think, in the US.
it's been
So
studied. When you now go to when Nigerians go to the United States, Nigerians are the most educated ethnic group in the United States and the most brilliant, because we have this competitive attitude, and we celebrate excellence, academic excellence in particular. So you now find out that when you stay in that community and you don't branch off, that kind of community of excellence, you remain focused. And then if you there are some things you don't throw away. In Yoruba area, when your mother gives you an advice, you will say, hold it in your left hand so that you don't eat with it. Hold it in
it
your
is.
left hand so that you don't eat with it. I I don't do adultery. I've been married for 39 years. I don't do adultery because my father cautioned me that any day you do adultery, 1 year goes out of your life. So I want to live long. So apart from the Christian faith, so there are things I
Yeah,
don't do because of my parents, what they told me. Always hold that when they say train up a child the way he will go, when he grows up, he will not depart from it. That child also has a responsibility to hold on to what he has heard from his parents. There's a family in Owo, the Olagbegi family. The father will always tell them, remember whose son you are. Remember whose son you are. So that always remained in their minds and they remained focused. And then
wow.
become a Christian early and attend a denomination that preaches the word of God and insists on following the word of God.
Okay, thank you very much. I will ask you one more question, and this would like be closing like for like single guys, like for an average guy. Then the next phase would be like for married men, and men with family. So the next question would be, what role will technology play in our life, like in the next coming life? It's already playing it right now, because I can speak for some other people, like some men. All the girlfriends they had, they met them on the internet. They've never walked up to a girl or to talk to a girl and ask her. It's just fully based on the the social interaction, like off internet. And people don't know that those interactional sites, like dating sites, they want to profit off you being single. They don't want you to actually be together, because it's a mismatch at the end of the day, for in some cases, not all cases. So what role do you think we should stay at alert as young men with the technology that is involved in this modern day now?
In my time, we had citizens. Today, we have netizens. And there is a terminology I coined, netism. It
Yeah,
is the
and
citizenship of the internet.
internet.
So Number one, technology is the new oil well. Number two, technology is the equalizer. You can attend a university in Nigeria and read the Harvard publications online. You can register to be receiving Harvard lectures online in Nigeria here. You could do anything in Nigeria and globalize like as I have done. There's a
Yes.
young man called Tenge, his name is Rango, with big eyes from Uganda. He's a Muslim. He's about 10 years old. He done Tenge, 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 Tenge,
Yeah,
Tenge,
I
Tenge.
think I do.
You know him with big
I do
eyes.
know
If you
him.
dream,
Yeah.
huh?
I saw he went to Dubai like shortly, and I think he just
Yes.
came back from.
He didn't go for shopping. He's a brand ambassador for a housing company in Dubai.
Wow.
He's a multi-millionaire. There is another man from Uganda called Grandson. He will open his chest and he will be walking through the market. Mr. Lover, Lover, Mr. Lover, Lover. And he has 1 million subscribers. And he will not leave Uganda to go and live in the United States because he will disappear because there are many people like him in the United States. So it's an equalizer. Wherever you are, whatever you do, the internet breaks the barrier of space and time. It helps ameliorate your defects. You don't know how to spell well. As you are typing, an application can correct your spellings for you. An AI app can write a book for you without being able to write books. Your products can be advertised from anywhere. That's why Nigeria has colonized the music scene. That's why people like Rema, Burna Boy, Spyro, and all these people are filling stadia all over the world. It is because of the internet. That's why you see Go 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 went around the world. So it has its advantages. Number
Viral.
one, you can go viral. But number two, be very careful of your privacy. Don't go and show nude pictures. Be very careful. The internet does not forgive, does not forget. Something you say now can be used against you in the future. Be very careful.
The rest of them.
There is the dark web. There are many things in the dark web. And then there's a lot of fraud in the internet, identity theft and all that. Then the dating sites. I know people who met in dating sites and they have remained married and productive. So, like the Samaritans in Israel, they were intermarrying because the Jewish people refused to marry them. And in Samaria, in Israel, they started having birth defects because
Yeah.
of intermarriage, weak genes.
Yeah.
So and you will see men who are bachelors, there are no women to marry. So they started visiting dating sites in Russia, Ukraine, and several other countries. It is from there they started bringing wives, and then the population is growing again. So it has its own advantages and its own disadvantages. What you are looking for will determine who you will meet and who you will be attracted to. It is you go to the bus terminal that has your destination on its signboard. And so you must first interact, discuss, and know the values of the person before you start making commitments.
Very well said. Very well said, sir. When I asked you about like fundamentals of men, you said something that really caught my attention. Two things actually. You said punctuality, like being like understanding the concept of time as a man. And based on my own understanding, I understand time is the only thing I can actually buy with money. So it's the most expensive thing I actually have with me. So if I have appointment or to meet someone, I try to be there even 5 minutes before, 10 minutes before, because I know that time is very tangible to me. But the thing is, like a lot of people from my side, there's something called African time. You understand what
No,
I
it's
mean?
called
It's
it's
as if,
called it's called CPT, colored people's time.
yeah, it's as if we don't understand the concept of timing. Like most people don't understand this is a precious gift that you can buy actually, and they make use of it like anyhow, like without care? Like, can you go
And
in more depth with that answer, like with time? Like,
there is, there is, there is. I don't know whether he's still alive. A professor of Anglican Christian philosophy. His name is Professor John Umbiti. He said that the black man has no concept of time. And so I'm coming to Lagos tomorrow when, the Western world has different weather patterns,
yeah,
winter, summer, and all that. And you must prepare for winter, and you have a limited time to prepare for winter. You must maximize summer. Are you following what I'm saying? But here we
yeah.
have only two seasons and two weathers, rainy season and dry season. And then we trek long distances to reach places.
Sorry.
No matter the seasons, there are usually things that you can walk with and walk around, and they provide very advantageous circumstances for you to
Yeah,
live in. And we had an abundance of things around us. There was fish in our streams and all. We didn't have challenges.
yeah,
So the other thing is that our environment is not very competitive. And then even the Africans that went into slavery, they were working in farms.
yeah.
They were working in farms. It was later that some of them that bought their freedoms started interacting with society. But that's the black man should know that the Bible says, teach us to number our days aright and apply our hearts to wisdom. I always tell people that if you are going to live to 90 and you are 30 years old, you have spent one third. If you sleep 8 hours every day, 8 over 24 times the remaining 60 years is 1 over 3 times 60. So another 20 years off. 20 years plus your 30 years is 50 years. So you effectively have 40 years. Yes. So when you are 30 and you're going to live to 90, you have effectively only 40 years of productive living, daytime living.
Hmm.
And so you must learn to maximize this time because it flies. And then as a man, you are most likely going to die before a woman because you do the risky jobs. You are the one who drinks alcohol. You are the one who might have a heart attack faster. You are the one who might have hypertension. You are the one who's most likely going to have prostatic hyperplasia from the age of about 50. So the average man should realize that he has a limited time on earth and should maximize it. If you lose everything, you can recover them, but when you lose your time, you hardly recover it,
Can be
excepting
recorded.
you buy people's time, like as you said.
Wow. Thank you very much for this interactive section.
I wanted to add there is it possible that our payments method also affect, because in most Western countries or Western
Yes,
cultures
yes, yes, yes,
they
yes.
pay by
They are
the hour.
paid by the hour. Yes.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
know why? Do you know why we earn per month in West Africa?
Why, if I may ask, why do we end per month?
I grew up meeting my father earning every 2 weeks.
Bi-weekly?
But when they paid them, some of them will get drunk, they won't go to work again. They will just drift away. So they kept the salary to the end of the month to make sure that they kept coming to work.
Oh, makes sense. Because
Eh,
I recently watched something, I think with Kenya, like there was a Chinese man talking with a Kenyan man, and it was like, you guys just take your salary and go drink and
yes.
open for the
Oh,
next.
those guys, to drink.
Yeah.
So
So it keeps
that's
to
why
motivate them to come back for the next one. Yeah, it makes it.
that's
Yeah,
how that's why the monthly salary thing became prevalent in West Africa,
in West Africa.
particularly the Negroid part of Africa.
Wow. I have a big example. For example, right here, sometimes we have like fun activity like to play football or something. And if we agree, okay, we'll be there by 1 p.m. to play this football. Some people come by 2. In my head, I'm like, did you leave your house by 1? Like, we're going to kick off by 1. You should have left, 30 minutes, 1 hour before, if you know you're going to take the bus, or you're going to walk or cycle or use the bike to come. So why did you come late? Like, sometimes I don't understand. Like, everyone should be here by 1. Why did you come by 2?
Is a problem. In Africa, sometimes we are usually too tolerant of stupidity. We always have somebody else to blame. Even the black society in America will have the white man to blame. If it's a religious person, he has the devil to blame. He has slavery to blame. But there were other nations that had slavery and had colonization, and they've done well.
Yeah,
So we know to blame others. That's why. And then we always associate lateness. Every person must be seated before the president comes in. The big man comes in late. The big masquerade comes in late. And so we are used to associating lateness with superiority.
Wow, that's something I want to take off my culture for sure. I don't like that. I believe in hybrid culture. I want to take good things from Igbo, good things from Delta, good things from Yoruba, from Hausa, and join them and live a good, better life. I don't believe in staying rigged or fixed in a particular culture. I believe my definition of culture is an everlasting way of life, and it's vast. It doesn't end. So my concept of culture is like picking good things from different culture all over the world and integrating it as one to go to the next step. So
yes.
Yeah, it's been very, very interactive with you, sir. And
thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me also. And
I look forward to more of these sessions. God bless you. I remain your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki.
Thank you, sir. And see you in the next section. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.
Okay. Bye.